was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
Welcome back to the Hishaku Hideout, a weekly podcast where we talk about the latest chapter and everything Kagurabachi. I'm here with Dice.
Yo.
And today we're getting into a Soya chapter. Let's just go back to the bathhouse. I don't want to see Soya in the bathhouse though. No bums allowed.
Yeah, only Sojo.
Yeah,
only
that's
Sojo's.
Yeah. So at least we didn't sully the bathhouse experience with Soya's bum ass.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm gonna take a sec before I just go full on rant, but not too excited when I saw this chapter.
Yeah,
I wasn't too excited really.
Soya is the slandered one. Him and Hishaku. Like I told you before, we were debating. We were debating if we were actually going to record an episode, but we didn't want to miss a week. So think of this as like a bonus episode for y'all. And I told them I could slander Soya for 3 hours. Dead ass. It's pretty easy, but we're not going to do that. But there will be Soya slander.
Oh, definitely.
I will say though, I was like low key. Oh, hold on. Is he cooking? When he started to like show Soya how sharp he was, he's piecing together everything. He has a general like understanding of the world. So with that and all like the context clues, he can kind of pull together what's going on. I'm like, okay, maybe Soya might become something. But then no, nah. That dude, he's too attached to his brother. Weirdly enough.
Yeah, emphasis on the weirdly enough.
Yeah,
because how weird that attachment, if you can even call it that, is. So yeah, before we just get into ripping Soya, yeah, man, I like I said, I was not happy at all, man. This should have been announced as a break week. I was fucking upset. I was mad, bro. Like Hokuzono Cook, like I did enjoy, this as a bonus chapter, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like as far as I remember, the previous bonus chapters, the bathhouse, were like on break weeks, if I'm not mistaken. And so I definitely think that this should have been announced as a break week, because I was really looking forward to the start of something new. And maybe that's naive on my part for thinking that we were immediately gonna jump into part 2. But yeah, man, I was I was not happy.
No, I get it. I don't know if they were actually announced as break weeks beforehand. I know one of them wasn't. I'm pretty sure it was just kind of like given to us, and we weren't really expecting it. One of the bathhouse chapters, but I also could be misremembering, and I'm sure so they those Bachi bros, they got some of them that really keep tabs on everything. So I'm sure someone in the comment section will tell us.
Yeah, let us know if I got that wrong.
Almost though, now that it kind of hit me, or it hit us, the fandom, part of me should have like low key at least brought this up as a possibility, because like ending a part 1 and then saying there's like no break after that, then it like, to me it didn't feel like part 1, like a part was ending.
We talked
usually
about
after
this,
yeah, usually there is time after a part 1 conclusion for part 2 to come. Now we know we're getting a chapter next week, so like I guess to like look it on the bright side, like this is kind of the space in between part 1 and part 2. This is like the barrier between those two, which I think does make sense. It does make it feel more of a part, but I mean, I'm with you, like we were eating good and we were like riding high for so long that we was like looking for that train to keep going.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Again, maybe silly me, right? But whatever. It is what it is.
And especially like it's Soya of all people, right?
Oh my god, bro.
Like, man, I really thought this dude was about to maybe change my mind, and it happened really fast, man. like, it's bad when like this fortune teller, which like a lot of fortune tellers in the anime and manga are kind of just like painted like morally gray a bit. You know what I mean? Like, because they'll just straight up tell you whatever it is you're looking for, whether it's good, bad, or in between. And, they usually make like a snide remark. But this one, she's just like, yo, you're scum. You call that love? But she's like the GOAT. She's like the GOAT of the chapter.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, so like let's run through the events, right? Like Soya, Soya wakes up from the rubble, which I thought that the first page was pretty cool. Again, even after seeing that it was like 112.1, when I saw the first page, I still had some hopes up because I thought that we were gonna maybe go back to like the fallout of the Kamunabi HQ, and I was kind of wondering why it would be done in this sort of chapter. But yeah, imagine my disappointment when I swipe to the next page and it's Soya, and then the bonus chapter title card or whatever. I do think it's cool how like he memories be gone. The idea that this really screwed up guy has no memories, and like you said, how he starts piecing everything together, I thought was pretty cool. The combination of like his own thoughts along with the narration, I thought was pretty cool. And there is, I'm pretty sure this is like a Spider-Man reference, which I thought was pretty cool when he figures out the hand sign for the ISO. And yeah, and then like you said, it doesn't take too long for him to remember who he is. And yeah,
30 seconds. Yeah, I mean, that's impressive for sure. Throwing gang signs at a wall helps, and he does have that bitchless energy like Tobey Maguire, so there's that. They said we hating on Soya, baby.
Oh yeah. And obviously he thinks of Hakuri as well, which once again this really toxic attachment and kind of like infatuation, if anything, even if he wouldn't really
that's real love. I'll remember you even if I lose my memories, baby.
Oh man, it is wild. Like I told you this. I thought Hokuzono was gonna go one direction, with him like piecing together who he is, and I thought we were about to like maybe see the start of like a Soya redemption arc, which could still happen, but is not where I think Hokuzono is headed. Cause yeah, he immediately, like you said, he goes to the fortune teller. Fortune teller calls him out and let him know what's up, and not even a second of reflection, right? He just immediately goes back to his old ways.
Was sulking. Like, let's look at Soya's let's not talk about his L's because there's a lot of those. But let's talk about his wins. He beat up an unawakened Hakuri, a wall, a can, a bird if you want to give him that. Nah, that's about it. This man is abysmal. He is worse than Hirohiko. He's pretty ass. I have to say, across the board, he's amazingly ass.
Wait, hold up. Worse than Hirohiko? Which you mean?
Hirohiko's win-loss is pretty bad.
Yeah, but at least the opponents are respectable. You just mentioned the can, Hakuri. Yeah, Shiba's doing a lot of heavy lifting in that list.
Well, I mean, if you ask the fandom, Shiba's God, so.
Whatever, man. The pinnacle.
Is this about to turn into Shiba slander? I'm here for it.
Real quick. No, man. I thought what you said was pretty cool with the fortune teller, though. It immediately subverts like the expectations of what you like traditionally see with a fortune teller. And yeah, I thought that that was cool. Plus, it is like a peek into more of the underworld, which most of us are like really itching to see in Kagurabachi.
Yeah, I tell you, it's a bad time to be a Sazanami in that world.
Oh yeah.
He's literally on the bum energy. He just paid to get disrespected by the fortune teller. So we'll see, if he can kind of rise up from this. But the moment he does some dumb shit, Soga is going to be right on his ass.
Oh, 100%.
And maybe that will come into play. Maybe he might think that Hakuri has some kind of, well, he does have the memories of the Rakuzaichi, so he'll know that even though Hakuri was part of like overthrowing it,
Wait, what do you mean he has the memories?
because he was in Soya's mind. I mean, he was in Kyora's mind. So he was
I'm
aware
sorry.
that
You're
Hakuri
talking
was
about.
gonna-
Okay, you're talking about Soga.
It's Soga.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Soga. Yeah, Soga. So like, but maybe he might think that Hakuri still has some attachment to like his siblings. So maybe he might just kidnap or capture Soya when he comes across him and try to use him later to like, go against Hakuri. Like, oh, I got your siblings. If you don't want nothing to happen to them, come here or whatever. And maybe Hakuri might still want to try and save his siblings. Like he might have some kind of like, maybe I can change them. Because Hakuri isn't gonna get beat up on anymore by Soya. You know what I mean? So he might now try to like, now that he has a second chance to make amends, maybe that will come into play later for Hakuri's character arc.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things here. Like you said, that's a very good point. Like it being a Sazanami in this new Soga era, isn't, it's not something to look forward to. He's about to find out real quick if he doesn't, stay in line. So that's going to be interesting to see, because though I would assume that we're going to see more of Soya through kind of more of like how we saw more of Sojo with the bathhouse chapters, I do see us getting like a part 2 and a part 3 of this story of Soya. I'm wondering whether Hokazono is going to fold him back into the main story, and you bring up a really good point, because we have a very unique perspective if Hokazono wants to do that. Like I said, a lot of us are waiting for, the clans, the sorcery clans, and more of the underworld to be explored. And Soya, especially now that he doesn't really have all his memories, would give us like a really unique perspective inside, in that world. And so I do wonder if Hokazono is going to fold him back into the main story. You also brought up Hakuri, and we know, or at least I saw, and credit to, the Bachi Bro Brazil, because he, at least this is where I saw it. Apparently the editor's note lets us know that we're going to be getting into Hakuri next chapter. It says, next issue is the main story. Will we ever be able to reach Hakuri? So not that there's a lot of correlation between what we're seeing from Soya here and what's going to happen with Hakuri next chapter. But I do think it's interesting to talk about and see potentially where this is going to go, especially that editor's comment kind of gets you thinking, like, what exactly is happening with Hakuri. And we can get into that in a bit, but we talked about like whether whether Chihiro and Hakuri had already met up or not. So yeah, I think there's a lot of things here, and it's going to be interesting to see how Hokazono decides to go about it.
Yeah, let me tell you, we should have saw we should have saw Hakuri's status at the end of part 1. I've been pretty vocal about 112 not being it doesn't feel like a conclusion chapter, and I still feel that way. Aside from the Samura stuff, like in general, I've been really vocal about like art conclusion. I'm sorry, like we should have some update. The fact that like Hakuri is so important to Chihiro and the story, and they've been away from each other for so long that we don't get their reunion at all. So now if part 2's just say, because we don't know yet, but if it does start with a time skip, so now we have to catch up back on where they left off at on the reunion, even though they already had their reunion in universe because 4 days had passed, and Shiba definitely brought them to the same place. Like it just felt like that was my biggest issue with 112. Really, it's that I really wish we would have solved that.
It's still bothering you, from what I can see.
Yeah, like it really, because like I love the arc still. My whole thing is like, and there's been a lot of talk about like conclusions in manga And there's one particular series we'll talk about, saying the end, they're fumbling the end of it. With this, like I don't call it a fumble. Like, it's just like one part of the arc that I don't like, and I will speak on it and be vocal about it. I still have high praise for the arc, but I'm not gonna sit here and delude myself into thinking that it's okay when I still have an issue with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah.
The overall enjoyment is what's important, and I think people get hung up on how important. And don't get me wrong, the end of something is important for sure, but everyone places different values on how important it is. Like with me, the overall enjoyment of the whole experience of that, story, or if it's just an arc, like, is the most important for me. Now, the end does play into that, sure, but some people will like really just turn 180 if the ending is bad on it. But the roadmap to get there was all good. I just look at the ending as one aspect. Like, the ending can't, I still think the ending was good for the Kabanabi HQ arc, to be honest. But that was just one thing that I wanted to say because
yeah, no, it looks like you had a lot on your chest.
Yeah.
Yeah, this went from Soya slander to part 1 ending slander real quick, huh?
Let's get back on Shiba slander. Let's get back to that. I'm just playing. But yeah,
no,
Soya,
I feel you.
Look at Soya. I mean, I think he's definitely gonna make a re-entrance into the series. If he doesn't, cool, great. If he does, I'm waiting to just see how it happens. I'll take it, as it comes to us. Like, it doesn't really matter to me one way or another.
Say it like it is. Say what you think. You don't want to see his ass back. Just say it, bro.
I could see if Haku does have that moment where now that he is stronger, if he does want to, try to, now that he does have this a second chance with Soya, maybe he will want to try to rekindle that relationship because he won't get beat on anymore by Soya. Now that he does feel superior to him, maybe he can, like lend a hand out and try and like resolve whatever it is. And if Soga does capture Soya, and try to use that, because I mean, also Soga might just kill him, or Soga might just try to use him as like bait for Hakuri and Chihiro, because Chihiro is gonna like honor if Hakuri asks Chihiro for like a favor. I'm pretty sure we all agree that Chihiro will earnestly try to do his best to help him, since Hakuri's done so much for him.
Yeah, no, 100%. And yeah, man, I can't. It's very interesting to think about because with Sojo, it was very easy because he was dead. And whatever we got in those bathhouse chapters, and a lot of it, I'll stand on saying like we got some like very nice tidbits that, like, at least as a Sojo fan and as a fan of like the whole plot regarding the Enchanted Blades specifically, I thought we got some nice moments between Sojo and Cloud Gouger that kind of added some context to what we had seen from him in the main story. But with Soya being a character that is very much alive, it will kind of tell us, moving forward, and whether he is folded into the main story or not, I think will tell us how Hokazono kind of views these side stories. Because again, we couldn't really take much away from the Sojo ones because he was already dead. And whatever we got was just kind of like icing on the cake, extra. With Soya, there is kind of room here to do something more. But the way these chapters are framed, the kind of comedic tone, even though obviously a lot of what we see from Soya is pretty screwed up, right? But with the title and just the way these chapters are framed in general.
Yeah, they have a lighter, humorous, more like do 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 kind of vibe,
You can almost hear like the Naruto filler arc music, right?
Yeah,
So yeah, it's we're gonna have to wait and see, and it's something I'll be kind of looking out for, really, because I can see it going both ways.
One thing I will say is, like, you brought up the Sojo stuff, and I think one thing that was good about those is we see how Kaguri mentions like Sojo. So like
Oh yeah.
Sojo was having conversations with the Hishaku. Like, so Sojo knew Kaguri, which, so if Toto is his partner, then it's more likely that Sojo probably knew at least half of the Hishaku members. Like, I think that's fair to say. Somewhere, now
Yeah.
maybe he didn't know their names exactly. Maybe they kept that hidden, and he just kind of talked to them like, without a connection name or something like that. But and that those like extra chapters just kind of fill that in, because we do see how like Sojo treated Cloud Gouger. That's kind of like the big thing with that, especially that second one. Or even the first one, he's skipping out of the fucking bathhouse to go get it, to go retrieve Cloud Gouger. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if like Hokuzono does use this as kind of like supplemental writing to basically, if Soya does come back in the mainline story, then he's using these bonus chapters for supplemental writing. That way he doesn't have to introduce Soya in the actual mainline arc. If Soya just appears sometime in the story, the readers will accept that. They're not just, but now if he didn't do this and he just brought him back and then did like a flashback of all this, then it would kind of feel like kind of quick and sudden. You know what I mean? But like, it's easier to digest. So if he does come back later on, it's easier to like for the viewer to just accept that as a plot development, I think.
Oh, 100%, dude. And I guess that's exactly what I'm saying, right? The fact that he can build on this to do more with the main story and give us a lot of, not just like things that we could say like, oh, that would be really cool to see, but things that we're actively looking for in the story right now. Like I said, more on these clans, more on the underworld. And you can tell, at least the way I see it is like, you can tell that Hokuzono is aware that is something that he is like not going into on purpose yet, and that very likely, if he isn't, which he is, tapped in with the community, that is something that we want to see, right? Because the way that Soya kind of recalls when he's a sorcerer and he's a Sazanami and putting the pieces together about the Rakuzaichi, again, it gives us like little tidbits about how a regular person kind of views this world, because again, he didn't have his memory, so he was kind of like putting everything together. So for a minute there, we saw like a different perspective of how a normal person could kind of talk about this sort of stuff. And so yeah, there's a lot here, man, in terms of building on. And like you said, I completely agree. This does kind of put him in a better situation if he does want to bring the character back. Then he's already kind of set it up in a pretty unique way with these bonus chapters.
Yeah, this could be really good use of break weeks. Because he didn't necessarily had to have, like, he might have already had like this chapter kind of already planned. He might have, we don't know the process exactly. So him using like a break week, because it's a bonus chapter, but it's kind of, basically seems it's just a break week to me.
Should have been a break week, bro.
This is kind of like a good use of that. Like, honestly, like, I'm all for him just taking breaks, like a genuine break, you know what I mean, for rest.
Yeah.
But I think it is a good use of like, the story's page count to like include something like this if he does intend to bring them back. Now, if Soya doesn't come back and this is just a whatever story, that's fine too. But there is the chance for this to actually like play into the story in a positive way. Or I guess we would have to see how it's executed, but Hokuzono really doesn't disappoint in execution.
Yeah, man. And I guess it all depends, like, what he sees in Soya as a character. The fact that he quickly kind of resorts to his old ways, that can be kind of taken as a sign that like there isn't much here, because I told you this, that there is a certain not to say that he's like really a deep character in this whole thing, but there are like a couple of layers of complexity, because he genuinely thinks he loves Hakuri, and there's a lot there when you look at like the patriarch that they came up in, and what he views love, what example did he have of what love really is. So you can kind of like really go into that if you really want to, but in terms of how Hokuzono sees him and frames him as a character in this world, it all depends on like I said, if he's actually going to want to give him a redemption arc. So again, this is a pretty obvious, right, in terms of how what is done with him in the story will tell us very much what Hokuzono like intends for him to, in terms of what role to play, right? But I don't know. I'm really 50-50, because I'm every time I'm just about to say like make a prediction, and in terms of whether thinking or not that he's going to be folded back into the main story, I just kind of quickly come back into the middle, because I can't see it both ways. If I had to make a call, if I had to make a call, I would say that that Hokuzono will keep kind of these things separate. And so, just to kind of, take a stab in the dark and actually make some sort of prediction, right?
Because I mean, there could be like chapter 130.5 and Soya just dies in a ditch somewhere, and his story gets concluded. His story just gets concluded in another extra chapter. Like his arc happens only in the ongoing extras, like, and he doesn't he has his own like little story happening that's a side thing that doesn't interfere with the main line. Or he does come back in the main line. It just comes back to like really Hakuri's development more so than anything. We know like the clan ties, like that's been Hokuzono is showing like that kind of mindset just doesn't work in the modern era. It's like very toxic, that dynamics, and Soya is a proprietor of that. So it's about, one, can Hakuri does Hakuri want to redeem his brother? Does he think he can redeem his brother? Is his brother redeemable? Like there's a lot of questions, and it's all about, can Hakuri bring that out of him? Can Hakuri save Soya? Because that's what's going to come down to, and only Hakuri can do that, because it's going to be Hakuri. It's going to have to like whip him into shape, maybe give him a better beating to where like he's like, dude, you're not built for this anymore. Like, this isn't love. I'm trying to show you what I'm doing to you now is not love. I'm not doing this out of love. This is what you were doing to me, and then they just come out the other end and they just try and build on that. Maybe Soya makes his redemption by sacrificing himself to save Hakuri in the mainline story somehow. There's Hokuzono can go many ways. Soya, the only person that really has to forgive Soya is Hakuri. I mean, he's done some shit things because he is a Sazanami. We know that, but we're okay with the other two siblings being around still. The only thing Soya has added to that is the shit with Hakuri. So it really comes down to Hakuri's character arc. It just depends on if there's time for that, for one. You know what I mean? Because part 2 is probably going to be high octane. I know like a lot of the fandom wants to slow it down, and I hope so too. But when things get going in part 2, I have a feeling it's going to be a lot like the hotel in Kabanabi headquarters raid, where it's just nonstop.
Yeah, see, now you got me flip-flopping again, cause I could definitely see like I said, a couple of more parts of this, and it's gonna be very interesting, because I wouldn't be surprised if Hokuzono decides to tackle some of what we talked about in those bonus chapters. Like I said, he did give us probably a bit more than expected, at least I think, when you look at those Sojo bathhouse chapters. And it would be interesting to see if like next chapter we see of Soya, he's like kind of like in hiding, like kind of hiding around. He's got like a hoodie on or something because, you know, Soga has taken over or whatever. So I wouldn't be surprised if like, if even the future bonus chapters we see some, you know, some kind of like interesting and things that we look forward to being seen like tackled into the story. I wouldn't be surprised to see some of that. But I say I flip-flop because even in seeing all that, I you know, yeah, I don't want to just you know, be completely back and forth with, you know, with such a minor and trivial thing. But yeah, at the same time, I feel like Hokuzono wouldn't waste this as an opportunity. And if we are seeing Soya, even if we see most of this new, you know, kind of you know, this new arc, let's call it, because he is kind of putting his memories back together, most of it explored in like these bonus chapters, I would imagine he would fold them back in eventually for something, rather than just not doing anything with it, right? Like you know, now that I think about it, I feel like he would want to do whatever it is. It doesn't have to be anything huge, but like you said with Hakuri, to your point, I think there is something to do with Soya as a character, considering he was the only Sazanami, which we've seen like a lot of interactions between Hakuri and him. The other one would be Tenri, and that was much more of like a rivalry, and they were closer in age. With Soya, it was
Hakuri. Tenri despised him, but Soya actually looked at Hakuri. It's just he looked at him with like the wrong eyes, you know.
Yeah, no, exactly. So yeah, I'm very indecisive, as is very clear. But I'll just say again, there's a lot here.
If we see Hakuri think of Soya in next chapter, then that motherfucker's coming back. You know, it's like maybe Hakuri's gonna just, because I'll think about it. The Rakuzaichi arc took place about a week, like you know, about a week and a half to 2 weeks at the end of part 1. So that, you know, Hakuri really, and I mean Hakuri's also brain has been mush. You know, he's been gone through a lot, so he hasn't really had time to really sit down and think. So maybe we'll get like Hakuri's like looking back on all the events, you know, from the Rakuzaichi to the end of part 1 in that you know, week and a half, 2 week span, and just take stock of what really happened. And you may get a memory, like a little thought from him, inner monologue. I wish I could have saved Soya, because he was the one that actually at least pay attention to me. You know,
and I don't think he would think that, but
well, no, that's what I'm saying. He wish he could save him, because there has to be a reason why Soya is actually like this, like something early on that like made him like this.
Bro, Kiora was his dad, bro. That's what.
Yeah, but we don't see Kiora beating up his sons. We don't really see Kiora ever like.
I mean, you don't gotta see it, bro.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like the way Soya was, he had pliers and shit. Like he was on a next level tip with like I don't mean like Hakuri's like, you know, that's still his brother or whatever. You know, Hakuri is still, you know, now that he has strength to like fight. Oh yeah, fuck Soya 100. Like I said, I'll slam him for the next 3 hours if you want me to. But I'm playing into the possibility of Hakuri wanting to try and like fix whatever it is in Soya, because Hakuri was raised in the same household. And maybe he felt like now that he has the strength to like stop him from hurting him, he could have communicated. But I mean, given the circumstances the Rakuzaichi was going on, he didn't, you know, their fight was a fight to the finish. He couldn't try he didn't have the luxury of trying to like, you know, like, you know, meet him in the middle, not meet him in the middle. That's the wrong word, but just kind of like get him out of that mindset. Like, that's if Hokuzono wants to try and redeem Soya, or thinks that Hakuri can redeem Soya. Because even though if Hakuri comes down to like the mindset of like, you know, he does feel bad about killing his brother, or so he thinks, that, you know, that's still a pretty heavy thing. But I mean, we know he also resolved himself for that. But I don't know. Like I could like that's me just playing devil's advocate. But I would also want to talk about, man, is Hokuzono actually going to kill anybody in this story?
What you mean? Why do you say that?
Motherfuckers keep coming back from death, like popping up.
No,
We got
Soya.
Samura's about to like be reborn from ashes. That's watch.
I don't
Like,
think.
or I'm just memeing. I'm memeing because a lot of people were talking about that, by the way.
Yeah, I know. It's with Soya. I at least personally, I think there was always this question of whether he was very much alive. I mean, we just never saw him again or even addressed. So even with guys like Kudo, it's like they were, even if it's off screen, they have like deaths or they're like addressed or whatever. With Soya, it was like a straight
Kudo's
up
part 2 villain, bro. Kudo's part 2 villain.
Amen.
And Kyora's gonna come back somehow. Soga's gonna just put, summon Kyora from a flower, some crazy shit.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know, man. I think we'll see what the hell Hokuzono has in store for Soya.
Here's the through line. Only the bad guys die in Kagurabachi. Sojo and Kyora. Only the bad guys die in Kagurabachi.
But again, Soya's what are you saying? Soya.
Hey, maybe he's a good guy. Maybe he's going to turn into a good guy.
Yeah, I remember.
That's what I'm getting at.
I remember putting up a poll on my channel, like asking people who they thought had a more chance of being redeemed as a character, and it was like Hirohiko or Soya. And I think both characters have like arguments for that go both ways, right? So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there because. Yeah.
Well, who won the poll?
I think Hirohiko did. I personally think Soya, but again, there's argument for both sides.
And it's a different kind of like what do you deem like what do you like view as redeemable? Because like with Hirohiko, I could see Chihiro and him fighting, and their last fight, Hirohiko gets through to Chihiro, and Chihiro understands what Hirohiko really wants, and Chihiro gets through to Hirohiko and finally like makes him feel like friends. And then maybe Hirohiko helps, like he just is dying like a lethal wound from Chihiro, but before he dies he makes like a big play to help Chihiro out, you know what I mean, like as a friend. Like he's dying, but he finally got that like he finally met Chihiro equally. Chihiro won the fight, Hirohiko's about to die, and then Hirohiko just somehow like does something that like hinders Soga or saves Chihiro before he actually dies, kind of like Obito in a sense. But with Soya, his redeemable factor is very different than that.
Besides like the whole dynamic between Chihiro and Hirohiko, like yeah, that's definitely unique to their characters. But early on this episode, you brought up a situation where like Soya could sacrifice himself for Hakuri in a similar situation. So
True.
Yeah, it's just it depends, man. I'm very interested again in how Hokuzono actually sees these characters.
Well, I guess in execution, I mean more like we know Hirohiko is gonna have to fight Chihiro to the death. He's gonna have to get redeemed through death no matter what. Like with Soya, the table's open for it depends on Hakuri. Now, of course, it could be a sacrifice type of thing, but with Hakuri's thing is, we like if some crazy, and I hope this doesn't happen, but if somehow Soya manages to join the team, you know what I mean? I don't want that.
Bro. That's not happening.
But that's what I'm saying. The table's open for like if Hakuri does meet Soya and manages to break whatever this like this affliction that Soya has, then Soya, because we do see how sharp Soya is, and then it's like it just kind of all gets tainted by the end of this chapter when he gets back into his old ways. Like he looks sharp and astute. He looked impressive in the beginning, you know what I mean? And then it just slowly turns to shit the more he remembers Hakuri.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that is what makes me think if Hokuzono's just kind of playing this up to again just really show us how much of a piece of shit character he is, as a person.
Oh yeah.
Or if he's gonna give him like some, something more. And again, just to kind of like finish on the thought of how Hokuzono views these characters and what he intends on doing with them, it does kind of make me think. And even though similar to how like you said, like this isn't something I would want to see, I can see a very slim world, or like a very slim possibility, I guess, of a world where both Hirohiko and Soya, could be kind of folded into like the good guy team, and we see both characters redeemed in their own way. Because like you kind of brought up, there have been kind of some questionable decisions from Hokuzono when it comes to like certain deaths and whatnot, and I know people have felt certain ways, whether it was like Uruha coming back or Samura possibly coming back. I do wonder if we could very well see a situation that by the end Chihiro is just surrounded with an army of some of which redeemed villains, right? Going up against the big bad that is Soga. I can see that. It isn't exactly what I would want to see, but that's why, like I keep saying, I'm very interested to see what Hokuzono does with these characters that a lot of people are already kind of like, they're already irredeemable in their heads, right? Like, fuck Soya.
Yeah, and now I said I could slander Soya for 3 hours, and I'm over here trying to like make a argument for him becoming a good guy. Let me just say,
yeah.
push that bum in the sewer right next to where he's like laying down. That's where he belongs. Push that bum in that sewer right by where he's laying, right there. His long journey lies ahead in the ditch. Yeah, he'll die in the same alleyway that Hikari from JJK is probably dying in Modulo.
Last thing, that's crazy, by the way. Last thing I'll say about this is like this is another reason where like I really want to see Hokuzono get into like these clans, and what. Even though we saw a bit of it with Hakuri and the Sazanami, but seeing like other takes on it, just to kind of like further contextualize what it means to grow up in that world. Because imagine a couple of months from now, we're like diving deep into those clans, and we're seeing like this other family, and we see perhaps this story from like a similar family to the Sazanami, but diving deeper on the struggles and the types of stuff that you see coming up in this kind of family, while simultaneously kind of getting bonus chapters of Soya, and like I said, maybe he's like really down bad or something, and I do wonder if like Hokuzono can manage to get us to think, in seeing kind of like current events of the story, diving into those clans, kind of thinking like, damn man, it really sucks to come up in those clans and what potentially Soya might have had to deal with. I do wonder if a couple of months from now, we might be kind of like sympathizing for a version of Soya that we just never saw. Because it's easy to shit on Soya now that he's already developed this like screwed up tendencies. But I was just thinking the reason you don't really see that with the fan base when it comes to Hirohiko is because we saw that perspective of him as a kid, and him, about we were told that he was going to be SA'd and he had to like fight for his life. She chomped on the dude that tried to SA him or whatever. And I do wonder,
I
like,
get what you mean.
If that's, if we could kind of like see something similar with Soya, or at least if Hokuzono can spark that thought in the readers of like, yo, we haven't really thought about it, but it must have sucked to have been a young Soya, especially because Hakuri had brothers, right? Yeah, like his brother like bullied him, but Soya as the
That's what I was saying earlier. You cooked me for saying that there earlier.
Yeah, no, I know, and I take that back, and I apologize. I genuinely apologize, because it just took me a minute. I don't
accept
it. it took me a minute to fall into it.
You're Soya to me. I'm Hakuri and you're Soya, bro.
No, I really only noticed in comparing both characters, and as you were talking, thinking, wait, why is it that the fan base is so quick to judge one, but like, the other has like a very huge, following or whatever, like riders and stands, and yeah,
agenda.
No, that's that's actually right. I'm probably just saying shit. You're probably
but no, you are. No, you I think what you're saying is valid. It's easy to just take someone for as they're. We're just being told this is Soya. We're not seeing what molded him into that. Yeah. So like, yeah. I think you just did a better job of explaining. I just kind of like introduced the idea, but you supplemented it. You supplemented why that could work. You know what I mean?
I tried cooking. I'm sorry.
You really did, bro. I don't appreciate that, but hey, it'd be like that. It'd be your own homie sometimes, yo.
Be your own
Yeah.
homie.
We could wrap this up though, like crazy. We thought this was gonna be a short episode.
Yeah, I said
But
short
I want to
episode.
say,
Yeah.
I could see part 2 opening up with a time skip, and almost like where Hokuzono's answer for the other clans is they all join forces like an alliance to like go up against Soga, and then Soga just shows up by himself to fight all of them and just cooks them. You know, and he ends all the clans like that.
Dude, imagine if Hokuzono does that. Just like, yo guys want to see this? Not low diffed by Soga,
but,
one chapter. We're not even getting into them. They dead.
And we would like have to accept it because we know Soga is not to be messed with.
Yeah, and again, we did see like from the Rakuzaichi arc did give us a lot of this. Like, we have certain expectations, but I wouldn't say like diving into these clans is as important as, say, for example, something like the Seitei War, which is like you know, we almost certainly like have to get that Seitei War arc at some point, right? Whereas like these clans, you could argue that we really saw the bulk of what is to be kind of like taken away from that within the narrative, all within the Rakuzaichi arc and the Sazanami. If Hokuzono wants to expand on that, he's kind of put everything in place to, you know, like I said, kind of go deeper into that, but he doesn't exactly have to. And yeah,
I gotta bring this up because I think the Seitei War flashback will happen, but it's also dangerous thinking. And I'm not saying you are like this way, but
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
JJK, everyone would have told you the Heian era is a flashback that has to happen. That everyone said the writing's there. There's been enough like reference to it. It's important. All of our main people are from there. All the main villains are from there. Like, you know what I mean? Everything supports that the Heian era should have been in the series. Now, I'm not saying Hokuzono is Gege by any means, but authors, what an author intends to do is, you know, that it's on them. Whatever they feel is necessary, whatever they want to. So, I mean, I do think the Seitei War flashback will happen. I do think there's enough things pointing to it. But, you know, like, that's one thing that, like, I've learned. Even though it seems, like, highly likely, if it doesn't come, I'm not going to be let down. Now, you know, I'm just going to accept it. I want it to, but, you know, right. Authors, they just have their what they want to put in stories, you know?
Oh yeah, no, 100%, man. And I'll just kind of give my thoughts on this, and we won't really get into this because we're closing this one out. Definitely agree with you when it comes to like authors will tell the story they want to tell. The Heian era was something that a lot of us thought that was gonna be integral to the story, and it wasn't exactly the case. We got some flashbacks, but you know, obviously no Heian era arc. I do think, however, that when it comes to the Seitei War and how relevant it is to the story, me personally, I do not think they are the same. Though reading JJK, I was one of the ones that was expecting an Heian era and wanted it to happen and thought that it was going to add a lot to the story.
I think all the arguments are the same. Like the arguments I heard for why the Heian era should happen are the same as.
I don't want to get into the argument, but I fundamentally like disagree. Because of something like the Enchanted Blades and somebody like Soga, like I really like we can do this.
The Cullen games, like with Sukuna becoming a Cullen Games player, we didn't see that interaction. Like I say, there's a lot of like things that we did not see because there's no Heian era flashback that were integral to like story and plot developments. But I get what you're saying too. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, too.
Again, just to wrap my thought, like I agree with some of the things, but I like. When it comes to the complete relevance to the story and what it means for the plot and the Enchanted Blades and what there's a lot within the Seitei War that I don't think it makes it one-to-one to the Heian era. Now, at the same time, I also again agree with what you said. If we don't end up getting a Seitei War, my thing is that I would want a lot of what I wanted explored in the Seitei War when it comes to Soga, the Enchanted Blades. I would want that explored somehow. But yeah, you know, ultimately, I agree. We're going to see what Hokuzono's cooking up at. It is important to temper your expectations and not let what you want to see and what you're certain we're gonna see sway how you interpret the story that is being presented to you. So yeah, we can definitely get into like the Heian era Seitei War argument at some point. That would be like an interesting debate. So yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those things where, like, I think there's enough parallels to them, at least in terms of importance. But like, I do think there will be a Seitei War flashback, regardless of the argument. That argument.
Yeah, we'll see, man.
Well, we close this out. Soya bird watching. The boy got that bird, like holding birds, making birds cringe.
Bro, crazy, right?
Like, the bro's got tears in his eyes more than any character I've ever seen, and he's not actually ever crying. The motherfucker's just smiling and shit. I ain't never met somebody so, like, I'll say it again, bitchless.
Yeah, man, it's fuck Soya all day.
He's definitely like, he'll buy, like, he's the type to buy like a pack, 50 a gram.
Oh,
how much for one weed? Can I get one weed, please? That's Soya, all right? There's the dude. We all know the white guy. He's got the khaki shorts. He got the boat shoes on, most likely a polo.
Oh my God, bro.
We all know the type, right?
What the hell?
That's Soya, bro.
We know the type.
Oh, yeah. Well, that'll do it for us, I guess. I did not expect this to go on this long.
Yeah, me neither.
Hey, we love Bocce. That's what we do.
Yes, sir.
We did our, should have mentioned this at the top. I keep forgetting. I want to do better with, like, shouting out, like, liking and subscribing in the beginning of the episode. And I failed to do that, of course. And I also want to talk about the first part of our Enchanted Blade showcase happened yesterday. It was lit.
Yeah.
You can go look at the VOD. It's up. So, I mean, if you managed to make it this far in, which I'm probably like 5 of you, go check the stream out.
Yeah, appreciate everybody showing up and doing their thing with the EBs. Whoever submitted,
Yeah.
everyone who submitted. Appreciate
It
y'all.
was fun. The stream was lit. Chat was cool. Love the community. But we don't love Soya, though.
Hell nah.
All right, y'all. Well, we'll see y'all next week for a real chapter. Part 2 starts then. Hopefully, if it's goddamn like 112.7, oh my God, I'm gonna ISO in my pants, bro.
Okay, bro. We're getting another Soya chapter next week.
Yeah, oh my God. Yeah, Soya. I'm a Soya in my pants. That's the new term for shit.
Nah. Hakuri. We're getting Hakuri next week. That's what
I'm
we're
gonna
saying.
take a huge Soya if I see him again next chapter.
Okay, bro.
All right, guys. Well, peace.
Peace.